My sister banned my wife from her wedding because she'd lower the visual standard. I stayed silent, sent a gift, and booked a private helicopter ride. As they posed for a perfect family photo, my copter flew overhead and dropped something that made every guest freeze in shock. My sister banned my wife from her wedding because she'd lower the visual standard. I stayed silent, sent a gift, and booked a private helicopter ride. As they posed for a perfect family photo, my copter flew overhead and dropped something that made every guest freeze in shock. "You can still come," Claire said, crossing her legs and sipping her green juice like she hadn't just insulted my wife to her face, "but she can't. This wedding is about elegance, cohesion, visual storytelling. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just being honest." My wife sat beside me, hands clasped tightly in her lap. Her cheeks flushed, not from shame, but from the sheer restraint of not saying what she wanted to. I knew that look. I looked at Claire, my sister, the influencer, the perfectionist, the girl who thought she was curating a Vogue spread instead of getting married. "You're banning my wife," I said, my voice flat. Claire tilted her head, all faux innocence. "No, I'm editing the guest list." And just like that, she looked down at her phone, started scrolling through Pinterest boards again, and dismissed us both by background noise. My wife stood up first. "Let's go," she whispered. Her voice cracked a little, but her back was straight. Neither of us said another word. Not to Claire. Not to my mother, who had been sitting in the corner and said nothing during the whole thing. Not to my father, who was too busy looking at the guest seating chart to notice we were leaving. When we got to the car, I opened the door for her. She paused, looked at me, and said, "Don't make a scene." "Okay, I'm used to this." That broke something in me. I didn't argue. I just kissed her forehead and drove her home. That night, I RSVP'd. No. I sent a gift, an expensive one. No petty notes, no drama. And then I made a phone call, booked a private helicopter ride over the Vineyard wedding venue, reserved the exact time the post-ceremony portraits were scheduled, prepared a small, legal, unforgettable delivery. Because if my sister wanted a picture-perfect day without the visually unworthy, then fine. But she'd never forget the moment the sky opened, the helicopter hovered, and something fluttered down like ash, something that made every single guest run screaming, clutching their phones and designer heels. No one saw it coming, not even her. But before I tell you what I dropped, you need to understand how we got here. Because this wasn't just about a wedding. This was about control, cruelty, and years of being the family's spare. This was about a brother who finally had enough. They didn't just ban my wife, they erased her. After everything I'd done, after all the money I'd poured into this family, I was disposable, a walking wallet, and now an inconvenience. You know what hurts the most? It's not the insults, not even the silence. It's doing everything for a family that treats you like furniture, useful when needed, invisible when not. Growing up, Claire was the princess, the polished one, pageant-level hair, debate club captain, queen bee from the minute she could spell the word designer. She got what she wanted by smiling sweetly and playing helpless. I, on the other hand, was the problem solver, the one who made things happen quietly. Like the time Dad forgot to pay the electricity bill for 2 months, and I covered it. Or the time Claire's car broke down a week before prom, and I maxed out my credit card to fix it so she wouldn't miss her moment. No one ever thanked me, but I told myself that's what family does, right? When Claire got her first apartment after college, guess who co-signed the lease? Me. When she was laid off for 3 months and couldn't handle the pressure, guess who covered her rent, groceries, and gym membership? Me again. When our parents wanted to throw her a surprise birthday party fit for a queen, but didn't have the money, guess who dropped $2,400 for catering and decorations? You get the idea. And it wasn't just Claire. Our parents had a favorite pastime, calling me Mr. Responsible, which really meant Mr. ATM. They loved reminding me I was the one who had his life together, which somehow made me liable for everyone else's lives falling apart. Emily, my wife, noticed it from the beginning. "Why do you always pay?" She asked once after I sent $600 to my mom just to cover a few things. "They're family," I said. She looked at me for a long moment. "So are we." I wish I'd listened to her sooner. The breaking point came during wedding planning. Claire had just gotten engaged to Anthony, some tech bro with a startup and a startup ego. They planned a rustic luxury vineyard wedding that looked like it cost more than my entire college education. At first, I stayed quiet. I knew how these things went. But then my mom called me. "We're just a little short," she said. "How short?" She sighed dramatically. Claire's dream venue raised the price. "If you could help just this once." "How much?" "A few thousand," she said like it was nothing. "You know you always help out. And you make good money." I didn't say yes, but I didn't say no either. That was my mistake. Because the next day, Claire texted me, "Thanks for agreeing to chip in." The wine tasting package is gonna be amazing. Wait, agreeing? I called her. Who told you I agreed to pay? She laughed. Oh, come on. Don't be stingy. It's your only sister's wedding. And don't act like you can't afford it. Didn't you just buy a new car? My chest tightened. Yeah, a car I needed because mine was dying. She rolled her eyes. I could hear it through the phone. God, you're such a buzzkill. I told her I hadn't agreed to pay anything. She said, fine, I'll ask Dad, and hung up on me. 3 days later, I found out from my aunt that Claire had restructured the budget, assuming I'd pay $5,000 and everyone knew it, including Emily, who hadn't even been invited to the wedding. When I confronted my parents, they were conveniently vague. Well, you've always helped, my dad said, as if that was a contract. Mom chimed in. Don't ruin this for her. She deserves a perfect day. If Emily can't be a team player, maybe it's best she stays home. I stared at them. You're serious? They looked at each other, shrugged. You know how Claire is, my mom said, as if that excused everything. She's stressed, my dad added. Weddings bring out emotions. Emily was sitting on the couch when I came home. She had a glass of wine in her hand. Her eyes were red. She texted me, she said. I sat beside her. Claire. I nodded. She said I didn't belong, that I was a visual liability. That you'd come alone if you really cared about your family. My throat went dry. She said I make you look small. Emily turned to me. Her voice shook. Do I make you look small? That's when something inside me snapped. No, I said. They do. The next morning, I sent Claire a message. No drama, no emotion. We won't be attending. Hope it's everything you dreamed of. I also sent the gift she expected, a pricey espresso machine from her registry. And then I booked the helicopter. But before I could feel good about it, the guilt storm rolled in. Mom called. Dad called. Claire messaged me in the group chat. Didn't expect you to be this petty. You've always been generous. Guess money changes people. Then came the text that broke the last string. Don't punish me because your wife doesn't measure up. I looked at that sentence for a long time. Claire hadn't just erased Emily. She spit on her, and they expected me to fund it. No more. I picked up my phone, called a private aviation company, and started planning the moment that would ruin her perfect day. Not with violence, just the truth. Falling from the sky in front of everyone she ever tried to impress, they said it was the most elegant wedding of the season until the helicopter came. I was calm when I arrived. From the top of the hill, I could see the venue stretched out below like a Pinterest board brought to life. White canopy, rows of neatly placed chairs, a floral arch dripping with soft pinks and champagnes. The vineyard glistened behind them, golden in the afternoon sun. Everything looked perfect, too perfect. Claire stood near the altar, her gown flowing like a bridal commercial. Her groom, Anthony, was beaming beside her. Guests zipped rows and posed for photos as a string quartet played something light and expensive sounding. Then came the sound. It started as a subtle, curious. By the time the helicopter was directly above them, every head was turned to the sky. The string music stopped. The air shifted. What's going on? Someone shouted. Then, the drop. Hundreds of white cards fluttered down from the sky like snowflakes. At first, guests reached out, confused, thinking it was part of the wedding. Until they flipped them over. On one side, a black and white portrait of Emily, my wife, graceful, strong, honest. On the other side, the truth, a screenshot of Claire's message. If he brings that librarian-looking wife, I'm cropping her out of every photo. A group chat reply from my mother with a heart emoji under Claire's comment. Ugh, she ruins the aesthetic. And finally, Claire's boldest text yet will guilt him into paying half the wedding. He always folds. The cards hit the ground, the tables, the shoulders of stunned guests. Phones came out. People began whispering. A few gasped. Some just stood frozen, staring at what they held. Claire screamed first. Anthony looked around, unsure whether to shield her or run. Then chaos. My mom lunged for the cards, frantically trying to grab them before more people read. My dad shouted something about calling security. The photographer panicked, thinking it was a drone prank. And Claire, the perfect bride, began spinning in circles, yelling, "Who did this?" And then she saw me. I was standing just beyond the venue gate watching. She stormed toward me, veil twisted, makeup cracking, cards crunching beneath her designer heels. "What is wrong with you? You ruined everything." I didn't flinch. "No," I said calmly. "I revealed everything." She stopped, trembling. Guests were backing away now, unsure if this was still part of the show. Claire's face twisted. "You always hated me. You were jealous." "That's what this is." I took a step forward. "Jealous? You uninvited my wife. Said she didn't fit the look she wanted. Told everyone I'd bankroll your fantasy because I always do. This wasn't revenge, Claire. This was a wake-up call." Just then, Anthony appeared behind her, staring at one of the carts. He looked at me, then at her. "You said you didn't talk about him like this." She tried to grab his hand. "It's taken out of context." He pulled away. "No. It's not." And then he walked off, left her standing there in a $9,000 dress alone. My mother ran up next, red-faced and wild. "What have you done? You've humiliated your sister in front of everyone. Her wedding is ruined." I stared at her. "You helped her humiliate my wife for months and expected me to fund it. You're being dramatic," she hissed. I pulled one of the cards from my pocket and held it out. "Is this dramatic? You like this, remember?" Her face went pale. Guests were now openly leaving. Someone muttered, "This is a disaster." Another said, "Good for him." One woman took a photo of Claire crying and whispered, "That's going viral." I turned and walked away. I didn't say goodbye. Didn't look back. And in that moment, with truth raining from the sky and every lie laid bare, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. I dropped the truth on them from the sky. But what hit hardest was the silence that followed. For the first time in my life, no one from my family called me. Not that day. Not the next. Not the one after that. Silence. Not even a text to scream or threaten or accuse. At first, it unnerved me. Then it made me smile. Claire went dark on social media. Her Instagram, wiped clean. The wedding hashtag she pushed for months, dead. No posts. No reels. Just awkward photos from guests showing a chaotic venue, a bride in full meltdown, and cards scattered like confetti. The internet, of course, had opinions. I didn't share the video. Someone else did. And once it hit a wedding drama forum, it exploded. Bride bans Sil, calls her ugly, gets exposed mid-wedding via helicopter drop. 500K likes. Claire's name wasn't tagged, but those who knew, knew. The comments were brutal, but honest. Imagine calling someone not aesthetic while begging them for money. "I hope you dropped a Venmo request too." Emily saw the post 2 days later. She came into the room, phone in hand, trembling. "Was this you?" I met her eyes. "Yes." She said nothing for a long time. Then she sat down beside me, gently placed the phone on the table and whispered, "Thank you." And then she cried, not from pain this time, but release. That night, we opened a bottle of wine. The good one sat on the floor like teenagers and laughed until 2 a.m. We were free of them, of all of it. But freedom never comes without backlash. On day 4, the calls finally came. First, my mother, "How dare you shame your sister like that? She's devastated." I stayed calm. "You all shamed my wife. For years, Claire just got a taste of what she's been serving." "You're being dramatic," she snapped. "It was just a misunderstanding." "No," I said. "It was a pattern and I ended it." Click. Then my father tried. His voice was tired. "Morn, you've made your point. Enough's enough." "Not quite," I replied. "I haven't even sent the rest of the screenshots." He cursed under his breath. Then said, "So that's it? You're just done with us." I laughed softly. "I've been done. You just didn't notice until the money stopped." Claire texted 2 days later. One line, "You've ruined everything." I didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded her text to Emily with a laughing emoji. Emily replied, "You ruined her branding." The weirdest part? Anthony reached out. Yes, the groom. Turns out, he moved out 3 days after the wedding. He messaged me on LinkedIn, of all places. I didn't know half of what she said behind my back. "Thank you for showing me who I almost married. We met for coffee." He looked lighter, relieved. "I got lucky," he said. "You took the hit so I didn't have to." As for me, I deleted the family group chat, blocked every number except my grandmother's. She called me after seeing the video online. She was laughing so hard, she couldn't breathe. I always said that girl needed a lesson in humility. Did I go too far? I asked. She paused. "You went high. They went low. You just flew over it all." I'm not angry anymore. Not even bitter. I'm just done. Done being the wallet, the scapegoat, the brother who always paid and never counted. No, Emily and I are planning a trip, a real one. Not a fake wedding honeymoon, a 2-week escape to a quiet beach. No drama, no Claire, no aesthetic standards, just peace. And maybe, if we pass over a vineyard, I'll look down and smile. Because somewhere down there, I left my past behind. And above it all, we flew. They said I destroyed the family. But the truth is, I just stopped financing the fantasy. It's been 3 months. 3 months since I dropped truth on them from the sky. 3 months since I walked away from a family that saw me as a wallet with legs. And I have no regrets. Not one. No more last-minute emergencies. No more, "Can you just cover this one thing?" No more, "You're the only one we can count on." Just peace. Real, heavy, healing silence. Emily and I started a new life. We sleep in on Sundays. We cook together. We laugh again, really laugh. And when we fight, it's about dishes or movies, not about defending each other from my family's knives. That alone was worth everything, but I should have known it wouldn't end there. The call came on a Tuesday. Private number. I almost let it ring out. Almost. But something made me answer. Hello. It was Claire. Her voice. Shaky. Soft. Different. I'm pregnant, she said before I even had a chance to breathe. Silence. I'm pregnant, and I don't know what to do, she said again, like that was supposed to mean something. I said nothing. Anthony left. My friends dropped me. Mom and Dad, they're not helping. I still said nothing. You're the only one who's ever actually been there for me. There it was. Not a confession. A manipulation wrapped in vulnerability. She paused, probably expecting me to rush in the way I used to. To say, okay, I'll help. Let's fix this. Instead, I asked, why are you telling me? Another pause. Longer this time. Because I thought maybe we could start over. She was crying now. We're trying to. Family should be there for each other, right? I felt it then. The old pull. That quiet guilt. That ache that says it's your job to rescue everyone. But it passed. I took a breath. And then I said, Claire, you're about to become a mother. So let me give you something valuable. She sniffled. Okay. Don't do to your child what our parents did to us. Don't teach them that love is earned through debt. Don't raise them to believe that help is something you demand instead of something you honor. And don't ever use them to pull someone back into your orbit. She went quiet. I'm sorry, she whispered. This time, maybe she meant it. Maybe she didn't. But I didn't need to find out. Take care of yourself, I said. And I hung up. No rage. No drama. Just peace. The kind that says, this chapter is over. I told Emily that night. She listened. Said nothing for a moment. Then asked, do you feel bad? I thought about it. No, I said. I feel free. I used to believe that being the bigger person meant staying, helping, forgiving, sacrificing. But now I know. Sometimes being the bigger person means walking away and locking the door behind you. Because not everyone deserves access to your heart just because they share your blood. Do I wish things were different? Sure. But not enough to go back. Not enough to trade my peace for their chaos. Not enough to re-enter a burning house because someone finally noticed the fire. Here's what I know now. Love without respect is just manipulation. Family without boundaries is just emotional debt. And silence can be the loudest form of truth there is. I'm not the villain in this story. I'm not the victim either. I'm just the one who finally said, enough. So if you're reading this and wondering if it's okay to stop being the family savior, yes. If you're wondering if you're selfish for choosing peace over obligation, you're not. And if you're wondering whether you'll survive the fallout, you won't just survive. You'll fly, just like I did, over the vineyard, over the noise, over everything they built on my back. And you'll never land the same again.